You talked about them creating their own network. There's a big risk in that, certainly for anybody. One risk that obviously played out and has over the past year, CSN Houston, filing for bankruptcy. What happened there?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is all these things, RSNs in particular, and any network has a certain risk-reward profile. And when you do it right, there's, great rewards. And sometimes it doesn't work the way you draw it up on the grease board. I mean, in the case of Houston, you've got Comcast, who's a partner. They're the dominant local cable operator, and they control about 40 or 45% of the inner market, which is where a lot of the RSN subscriber fees come from. And so now Comcast and the two teams, which own the RSN, are now trying to sell the service to other distributors in that market who are balking at, among other things, the price of this. And so that's the risk that you take when you go into the market, and sometimes, distribution doesn't happen overnight.
I wonder how this is going to, play out in the baseball landscape, because the team, it's an average of $80 million a year in rights fee the Astros were supposed to get from this network over the next 20 years. That was a start at $56 million this year and then slowly escalate. But because of the shape of the RSN, they've only given the Astros $25 million. I wonder how this plays out in terms of baseball revenue sharing. If that money doesn't come in, is it going to be subject to the 34% tax at the $56 million level, or the 25, what they've actually got, the $25 million? I mean, this has never happened before in the history of baseball. There could be some serious implications here.
Well, yeah, I think that's the right point, though. It's never happened before, so it's hard to know how the league will handle it. I think they're going to try, obviously, to work on a solution to get everybody happy, and it really comes down to getting full distribution, especially in the inner market, right? So if you're the Houston Rockets, you're only available in 40% of the market. You're not feeling happy right now.
How much is this RSN hurt by the fact that the Astros just aren't a very good baseball team?
Well, there's certainly, you got to have a demand for a product, right? So if you're, I think there was one of the games earlier this year where they had 0 rating. I mean, no one was watching. And so nobody likes to watch a team lose 110 games. And so they're, I think Jim Crane has sort of put themselves in a position where they need to reinvest into the roster, and he said he's going to do that. And so hopefully that's what happens down there.
Yeah, it's funny. Some people give the Yankees a hard time for supposedly sticking to a $189 million payroll for next year. Their end of the season payroll was $13 million by contrast. Yeah. Just lastly on this point, this RSN, CSN Houston, is on tap to lose about $60 million this year. Let's just say it doesn't survive bankruptcy. We don't know that's going to happen, but let's say it does. From the perspective of the Rockets and the Astros, it would seem to me that the Rockets could come out of this better in the sense that they may be able to command still a pretty high rights fee for a TV deal, where that doesn't seem to be the case for the Astros.
Well, I mean, it really depends on what's their alternative. So if the RSN ultimately doesn't work and it dissolves, you need to go back out into the marketplace, right? And now you've got Fox, who's made a huge commitment to the Rangers. They have the Stars. They've got the Mavericks. So they were in Houston before this all happened. And so the problem with the NBA is that you've got San Antonio down below and the Mavericks up above. And so you've sort of boxed in on territory and what you can really monetize.